Hello everyone, it's Lindsay, and today I'm back with the Bible journaling process video for you guys, jumping into the newest release from ByTheWell4God. This is Trusting a Good God. I do have a detailed unboxing of this release I will link down below, as well as my What's in My Cart video. That one is a little bit shorter than past What's in My Cart videos because I kind of streamlined and cut things down to just bare minimum. I mean, it's still a lot of stuff, but less than I typically have. And I'm trying to get at least one process video up for you guys on Fridays every week is kind of my goal. We'll see what happens since I'm only filming on the weekends. So we're gonna get it done. So diving into Trusting a Good God, I'm starting right out with day 1. It says our lens to view the world. I am working through this devotional in my growth book, which I have done with kits in the past. And let me kind of share with you what I do with that. So I usually do just a dashboard type page, just kind of introducing into the devotional content. That way, when I'm flipping through, I kind of know, where a devotional begins and where one ends. I do try to use the kit sticker from the devotional in some way. And that's just a way to utilize that because I hadn't been using that particular sticker. So, not my favorite page, but you know what? It gets the job done. And I'm kind of adjusting this theme with the mandalas and the boho. I love boho in my home decor and just like everything, but painting and creating with those shapes is not something I'm terribly used to. And so I don't really have like a formula and a method down yet. So we're just kind of throwing everything, all the elements on the page at once. But diving into the study, I'm using some of the printables. I created my own little labels on clear stickers. I scaled down some of the printables to make bullet points. So bullet points are going to be notes from my MacArthur Study Bible. And then these labels are going to be different quotes that I find from different Bible teachers, theologians, and whatnot. That's kind of how I differentiate things in here. I'm writing out every single verse that is in the devotional. And what I did ahead of time was, and I know some of you may have seen this in the past, but I created these little file folders, and in each day I put whatever cards pertain to that day, but I also put the stickers. So I've already gone ahead and created the verse addresses. I do have a video showing detailed how I do that, so I will link that down below using some of the digital elements from the release, either the add-on digitals that you can purchase or the free digitals that you get with the devotional kit. So this month, the ones that you could purchase did include the titles of the days, which is nice because I do include those on the page as well. So when I come to the day, I just pull everything out and then I can get to creating. So I am using the clear alphabet stickers for the verse, and then I've created the numbers. So I write out the verse, take notes, and I can do a word study if I want to. I'm not really going to have time to do word studies this month. I'm having to kind of scale back. So there is a look at that. So for Psalm, we're in Psalm 91, verses 1 through 2, and then 14 through 15. Starting at verse 1, Psalm 91 says, "He who dwells in the shelter of the Most High will abide in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say to the Lord, my refuge and my fortress, my God, in whom I trust." And then coming on down, it switches to speaking from God's perspective. It says, "Because he holds fast to me in love, I, meaning I, God, will deliver him. I will protect him because he knows my name. When he calls to me, I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will rescue him and honor him." And so that is Psalm 91 verses 1 through 2 and 14 through 15. And so we're looking at God as our refuge and fortress and being in him. And so there were a couple of quotes that I found. Spurgeon, he says, "Every child of God looks towards the inner sanctuary and the mercy seat, yet all do not dwell in the most holy place. They run to it at times and enjoy occasional approaches, but they do not habitually reside in the mysterious presence." So being in the shadow of the Almighty, being, he is my refuge and my fortress, being there always. And so when we're talking about trusting him, our focus needs to be on him. When we take our focus off of him, it's a little bit harder to trust him. We can get distracted by the world. This was a new one to me. Boyce is the last name. Must be a teacher or theologian that I found through David Guzik's commentary. He says, in regards to verses 14 and 15, remember this is from God's perspective, there are blessings that some believers miss out on simply because they're always fretting and do not trust God as they should. Here the psalmist quotes God as saying that the blessings are for those who love God and acknowledge his name, call upon him, and seek satisfaction in what he alone can provide. So thinking not, monetary blessings, God blesses us in a variety of different ways. But, when we're not choosing to look to him, to, be in his shelter, and we're fretting and we're anxious, we may be missing out on some of the blessings that God has for us. And again, those aren't always, tangible, physical, blessings. It's blessings in the biblical sense, not the worldly prosperity gospel sense. And that doesn't mean that if you're not receiving a blessing that you are not, dwelling in him, abiding by him. There could be other reasons, but, take an evaluation of your life. And if you are, going through struggles, have you turned away and removed your focus from God? That might be part of the struggle. Not always. That there's so many different things. I feel like I have to put a lot of addendums on this for people so that they don't come for me. But some of the things that you can start looking at is, am I dwelling? Am I keeping my focus? Am I using him as a lens to view the world? When we view things differently, that may remove some of the anxiety that we have. If we, don't look through it through a lens of the world and what the world says should be, success or being well off or, being content or whatever it might be. If we look through it through God's eyes, most likely will change our perspective and may relieve some of that anxiety that we are feeling. So journaling in Psalm 91, I have pulled together a few items. We're going to keep it pretty simple here. I am going to use some of these gold foiled pieces. There should be a shorts video that's already posted this week showing how I made these, so I will not be showing that process within this video. That will be in that video that I'll try to link down below if it came over from Instagram. So reels or shorts on how to do those using some Heidi Swap toner ink. I've got one of the journaling cards, and I'm going to embellish this just a little bit with one of these little brads just to kind of add something to it. We're going to add some fabric in here. I've got a die cut, and then we're also going to do some stamping in the background, and I think I'm going to do that with some sprays. So there was a video, should have been earlier this week as well, showing how I did these with watercolor distress watercolor pencils, and so I'm going to show you a different way using sprays, partly because I just received the new color Lost Shadow thanks to Tim Holtz and Ranger. They are sending me the new colors. There's one more color to come out, but this is the one that just released this week, and it just landed on my doorstep about an hour before I turned the camera on here this weekend. And this color looks like it actually will match pretty well with this kit. So I thought, you know what? Let's pull out some sprays and play, because that's really the only way I'm going to have time to play with the sprays until next weekend. So let me go ahead, put you guys on fast forward, and we'll put together this entry in Psalm 91. All right, so I'm going to start with some white acrylic paint. Because I'm going to be stamping with these spray stains which bleed through the Bible page, I do want to prep with something. You could just do clear gesso over the entire page, but I'm using white acrylic paint just around the text. I really wish we could get a Bible like this with white pages. I can't stand the color of these Bible pages. I need it to be white so that the colors are their true colors when you start working on it. But I also run into some issues, which you'll see down the road here, because I prepped with acrylic paint versus gesso. But, it all comes together in the end. So make sure that was good and dry. And then now I pulled out a silicone mat. You could use a nonstick mat as well. I'm spraying Tattered Rose, Ice Spruce, and some of that new Lost Shadow gray on there. I first went in with the oxide of the Lost Shadow. Now I'm going in with the regular spray stain, and I'm just picking up some of the color with the stamp and then stamping it. And you can see I'm testing it out on a separate piece of paper first, just because I want to know how intense the colors are. I want this to be background, so I don't want it super intense. which means I added a bunch of water to it, which kind of wasn't the way to go. So as I'm stamping this on that acrylic paint, you can see it's just becoming a blobby kind of mess, which this technique anyways, you're not going to get a super detailed stamp, but you can see the paper makes a difference. The test stamps that I did on that mixed media paper beforehand definitely had more definition than this blobby mess. So I cleaned it up, sprayed the colors once again, and only misted them like once or twice with water instead of really diluting them down with the regular water. And so the colors now are a little bit more intense. I'm also drying the page immediately after I stamp, and that kind of sets the image in and doesn't allow it to spread out and mush quite as much. But either way, you're just really going to get kind of a in the distance look of these stamps on the backgrounds. Definitely a background. Now I'm going to go in with this boho lash stencil using some pumpkin spice Versamagic chalk ink, and I'm applying it through the stencil with a baby wipe. I didn't want super harsh lines on top of that more like watercolor look from the stamping. I wanted it all to look the same. So by using the baby wipe, it gives a little bit of moisture to it, and so it kind of mushes out those stencil lines also, so they look like they were watercolored. Really not my favorite background, probably. I love the colors that I use, so I will use that color palette again. But, if you want to see another way to do this, check out the Distress Watercolor Pencil stamping video that I posted earlier this week. So I used a craft pick to poke a hole in the top of this journaling card, and then used one of those Tim Holtz fasteners just to bring out a little bit of detail on that clipboard. You could go crazy with, layering pieces up, cutting it away from the border, adding metallic paint to that clippy part of the top and making it look, not just paper, but I'm trying to keep things simple. I used one of the bow clippies and deconstructed it, and then just used my stapler to make it ruffled. Again, being lazy, don't have time to go over to my sewing machine, just use my stapler to staple it. And I'm going to create a little cluster on the front of this card. Journaling cards are a great way to bring in additional journaling space in these smaller Bibles like this. In the Psalms, you have quite a bit of room in the margin, but I liked to have, some more hidden journaling. I ended up writing one of the Spurgeon quote on the back of here, and then a short little prayer on the back of this card. And so it allows you to have, the pretty artwork that you want to do, but also having room to journal, take notes, write out quotes, study notes. That's really what the main focus of Bible journaling should be. All of this pretty stuff is just secondary. Use one of the clear stickers from the kit to just add a little more detail to that card. And now I'm going to stamp my title. And so I usually take all of this out of the video. You don't see a lot of this, but this is what happens behind the scenes. There's lots of testing. So this is that messy sheet that I tested my stamping, and I'm testing different colors of either Distress Oxide inks or regular Distress inks, trying to figure out what color I want to use for my stamping. So I ended up going with the Iced Spruce Distress Oxide ink, and I'm stamping one letter at a time. And again, because I'm stamping on that acrylic ink, or not acrylic ink, I'm sorry, acrylic paint, it doesn't allow this oxide ink to dry 100%. It just kind of sits on top of the paint. So you want to make sure you really, really, really heat set it well. And then I'll show you a little trick here in a second that I do just to make sure I don't have any transferring. So ideally you would prep with gesso or watercolor ground, probably would have been a better prep choice, but you can make it do with acrylic paint. So here's that little trick, just dabbing with a paper towel. And you can see I've dried this quite a bit with my heat tool, and I'm still getting ink off of it. So you just want to dab straight down, straight up, straight down, straight up. So that way you don't mush your stamping, but that removes all the excess wet ink off of there. On the back here, you can see the only bleed through I had is where ink ran underneath the page. And then towards the center right here is where I stamped off of the area that had been prepped with acrylic paint. But that is going to be it for the page today. If you have any questions or comments, be sure to leave those down below for me. Check out the description box for links to everything that I used in the video. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed. And until next time, thank you so much. Bye-bye.